Does it work? It works. Good morning. Good morning. My name is Liza Aizupiete, thank you for the introduction. As recently, the internet community has begun to refer to me as simply Liza A, for the lack of my cryptic Latvian surname, a better pronunciation. So today, what I'd like to talk to you about is what's next for cryptocurrencies in the age of ICOs. ICO is something that a colleague before mentioned a little bit about. But you know, when I first talk to people about what actually I do, it's funny that I often get these confused looks and questions like, what exactly do you do? Oh, you're that person who is in that cryptic, in that obviously virtual, almost insignificant thing. And that got me thinking that perhaps these friends and people of mine actually have a point. So what I would like to begin with, also something that my colleague mentioned previously, is to set cryptocurrencies in a backdrop of global economy. All in all, there are about 900 various cryptocurrencies, as we now noticed. And the value of those cryptocurrencies at the moment is around 200 billion US dollars. But the total value of monetary, the economic value of all the monetary units in terms of US dollars, according to the CIA numbers, is about 85 trillion. So what does it look like for cryptocurrencies? Well, that's about 0.2% in total. So this is truly a tiny fraction. We saw that also in the previous presentation. Now, obviously, the bulk of this cryptocurrency space is taken up by Bitcoin. And Bitcoin, indeed, constitutes 50% or more of the total cryptocurrency market cap. And again, that's only a fraction of a percent. Now, Bitcoin oftentimes is compared to digital gold. If you look at gold, the market capitalization, which is about $8.5 trillion today, just around. So in terms of gold, Bitcoin looks a little better. It's about 1.2% of gold capitalization. So all in all, what the point is, even though myself, I've been in the industry for over 5 years now, building the exchange that we're here with our team in Riga and London, where John's based, we run a cryptocurrency exchange called Globitex, Global Bitcoin Exchange. So even though, you know, the hype and the excitement about the cryptocurrency industry, it is on the back of global economy a tiny spot. In whole payments, market capitalization, it's very, very insignificant. Now, perhaps it's worthwhile remembering why Bitcoin in the first place is significant at all. Why does it take such a big bulk of total cryptocurrency market capitalization? What I'd like to propose to you is have a look at basic premises why Bitcoin is and what it is. Well, first of all, it's a distributed, decentralized network for payments, which is available 7 days a week. Unlike SEPA, unlike SWIFT, that sleep at night and rest on weekends, it's a permissionless consensus-based monetary unit enabling our digital age. It's something that sprung up without any central governing body, anyone giving a permission, anyone at all asking or levying law that you will use this currency for payments or for tax, for that matter. So this is a currency which has sprung from the ground up. It's an immutable asset with scarcity of strictly 21 million units to ever be mined. So about 16.7 million today is mined. So that's probably one of the most important aspects of Bitcoin, because it's a scarce asset. It's a finite and a scarce asset enforced by a cryptological protocol. Now, it's highly divisible nevertheless, so 24 million by far is not going to be enough for everyone, supposing that everyone would like to sometime perhaps own a Bitcoin or two or Satoshi or two. So it is divisible into 8 decimal units, also called Satoshis. Now, it is irreversible as opposed to chargebacks for card payments. So that's one amazing innovation, that it is absolutely irreversible, and thus it's perfectly fungible, albeit if you elect to actually disclose the transaction, it is perfectly traceable on an open ledger called blockchain, Bitcoin blockchain. Now, there is one drawback. There has been recently, well, actually for the past 3 years, there's been a community disputes around how Bitcoin should work, how it should scale, because obviously scaling is something Bitcoin has as an issue. And as a result, we have now 2 Bitcoins, but I'm not going to get into this issue today. It's a long discussion, perhaps for another time. But despite this, Bitcoin can absolutely be called money. In fact, back in 2015, the EU Court of Justice pronounced Bitcoin to be exempt from the VAT, which means Bitcoin in Europe, at least, has been pronounced money, because anything that's exempt from VAT, like your regular US dollars, euro payments, they're exempt from VAT because they're monetary units. So therefore, we can surely assure that, ever since 2015, we can call Bitcoin money. So that's a little bit about cryptocurrencies and Bitcoin in specific. And now I'd like to show you the quote from Christine Lagarde, the head of the monetary fund, International Monetary Fund, who's actually, in a recently very frank interview, expressed her own opinion about virtual currency, saying that citizens may actually one day indeed prefer virtual currencies to the existing fiat currencies. This is amazing. Basically shows that top financial institutions are definitely taking note. Now, what can you possibly do with cryptocurrencies? Well, I've listed 4 major things. First of all, you can enjoy being your own bank. I'm sure you've heard of this expression before. It's a wonderful expression because it encapsulates the very essence of Bitcoin. Indeed, you don't need an intermediary. You can be your own bank. You can send money to whomever you want. You can receive payments without any third party in the middle. You can indeed be your own bank. What else? Well, you can invest and see your investment grow exponentially, as we've just noted. Then you can do something like what I do, invest and actively spend your crypto assets in over 100,000 businesses. So that's another thing. I personally enjoy doing that because I just love the way technology works. Or at least I used to do that before the transaction fees became extortionary. So by then, obviously, SEPA payments became more advantageous. But this is just a phase in Bitcoin history and development, and I trust it's on the way to become solved. Now, finally, and this is the most important absolutely best case in point for adoption, is something that a colleague again extensively referred to. It's called the initial coin offerings, or otherwise known as the ICOs, which come from the traditional initial public offering terminology. Now, I'm going to actually look into more detail what ICOs are, so that for everyone here present, it's clear enough that it is actually absolutely a revolutionary development. Yesterday we heard that it's absolutely in bubble, but then again, Bitcoin's been in bubble for nearly 10 years soon. Gold has been in bubble for nearly 5,000 years. So you could say many things are in bubble, but what I'd like to stress is that initial coin offerings are a new asset class in itself. it actually looks a little bit like the sea voyage partnership agreements, which came about during the time of exploration, when faraway lands were discovered, and those were the ways to finance these sea voyages. So it is definitely a new asset class. It's an alternative method of financing for business ventures, for private companies such as ourselves. As colleague mentioned, there's over $3 billion invested in 2017 alone. So this is an absolutely amazing number. It beats all venture capital investments during this year for seed and angel investors. I'm not talking about larger A, B series. It's transparent cryptographically as opposed to legally enforced ownership agreements, otherwise known as smart contracts. So all of a sudden, what we have is, instead of law, today we have something like code becoming a law. So whatever idea you have, you can code it in and enforce it, thereby making a smart contract. So a law for one or another reason is going back to the back seat and allowing the geeks of today to take over and actually shape our future, which is, I think, it's amazing. Everybody should learn how to code. Now, once you invest in an ICO, these instruments are actually instantaneously liquid. You can, as opposed to initial public offerings where these equities are not exactly instantaneously liquid, here you can already trade, you just invested and you already can trade the next month the coin that you invested in. It is, as previously shown, the most profitable investment vehicle today. There's been a very nice report by Mangrove Capital, Michael Jackson, who's looked at every single one ICO invested in 2017, and he compared basically if you had invested in all of them, including those who failed miserably, you would be up on your portfolio something like 13-fold. So that's an amazing metric. And it's undoubtedly the most profitable investment vehicle for today. Now, for now, it is accessible to almost everyone. I'm saying almost because, as we just heard, China has curbed investment in the ICOs. That doesn't mean that the Chinese are not amongst the investors. South Korea has also pronounced rather negatively. But again, these markets are still active investors, and simply out of the fact, because investing in an ICO is almost like having no barriers for people to participate in the financial industry, because investing in companies, investing in any exciting venture usually was reserved to only the very, very rich. Right now, investments in the ICOs are open to absolutely everyone, indiscriminately. So, and in my view, what ICOs actually represent is a fantastic opportunity for cryptocurrencies to develop. In fact, this is the right thing, and the first major thing that can serve as a foundation for cryptocurrency ecosystem to develop a stable use case. Now, our very dear John Matonis says about ICO marketplace that it represents pure unlicensed capitalism. I love this quote. Now, where do we go from here? Well, the future is actually very bright. Obviously, I'm not going to ask in the public whether you own any ICO coins or whether you own cryptocurrency as such, but there's still hope for you if you don't. Because ICOs are likely to acquire certain regulatory framework, and they are bound to acquire it because there's just too much interest, too much hot interest going into them. But it is also undoubtedly that they will become the financial centers of our global economy. They will most likely replace depository systems that we know today. And we will see in a transparent way companies living on Ethereum, Waves, or other blockchain platforms in an open and understandable way. Now, what about cryptocurrencies? Now, this is my favorite subject. And the favorite cryptocurrencies, of course, for me is Bitcoin or the other type. Actually, I love both of them. I believe in cryptocurrencies. The future is equally bright. Bitcoin will probably contend with the fiat currencies in a very peaceful way because it offers an alternative monetary system. As people become more and more educated about what money is, how it should work, what is sound money. Of course, to me as a libertarian, it makes perfect sense, but it does take time to understand why money should work the way it does work. And obviously, the bubble explains only one thing. People are starting to get the message. Now, what about exchanges? The industry that actually I represent. Well, exchanges is a tool for cryptocurrency adoption, first and foremost. The exchange listings offer price discovery options against various assets, and that's our duty as an exchange to provide these various listings. ICO tokens are one of them, so this is a new asset class, and it ought to be listed on as many exchanges as possible to make the economy actually grow. So some of the exchanges offer cryptocurrency derivatives already. There are some exchanges who are just coin exchanges. There are some exchanges who are coin and fiat exchanges, such as Globitex. Some are regulatory backed, others are not. So within this point, I'd like to mention that Globitex has recently obtained an e-money license in Lithuania, allowing us to actually issue our own IBAN accounts to our clients. So in a way, Globitex is a one-of-a-kind Bitcoin exchange, which now has obtained almost like a bank status in the industry. Now, of course, Globitex is also running an ICO. Why do we do it? Well, first of all, because we are newcomers, and it's a rather saturated space. Although we are technologically probably the most advanced cryptocurrency exchange out there, our aim is not just to be a cryptocurrency exchange. Our aim is to actually better the whole cryptocurrency economy. Now, Bitcoin protocol-based currencies are absolutely here to stay. This is our hardcore belief. It's been for last 5 years, hasn't changed. And Bitcoin economy scaling can be achieved by providing better market access and more diversified trading instruments. So it is our contention that in order for Bitcoin economy or Bitcoin-based, Bitcoin protocol-based cryptocurrencies to grow, these need to be linked to real assets. And myself and my team here in Riga, and also John Matonis, we're all by trade and by experience traders. So we know what actually needs to be done for a currency to become relevant, and this is the subject of our ICO. Perhaps not to go into more details about it, I'd like to play a movie and explain a movie that explains it much better than I could possibly try.
Try taking gold across a border. Try buying 10 tons of coffee with your credit card. Try sending $500,000 to a supplier in 10 minutes using online banking. Bitcoin is the unit of account for the digital age, and it's here to stay. Its users send money globally and make purchases with smartphone apps at over 100,000 businesses across the globe. Its holders invest in the scarcity of 21 million coins. Sit back, beat inflation, and watch it grow. Even so, when compared to global trade volumes, let's face it, Bitcoin is still on the runway. At Globitex, we're thinking bigger. We see a future where Bitcoin is the preferred medium of exchange for everything. Why not cheaply settle international trades with Bitcoin? Swap precious metals and commodities in seconds. Enable farmers to sell consumables like coffee in Bitcoin. What about manufacturing companies, metal miners, oil refineries, and more? For Bitcoin to truly take off and drive global commerce, it needs an industrial-scale exchange for a new kind of Bitcoiner, the Bitcoin trader. The Globitex exchange is scaling into a global spot and derivatives trading venue based on open order books with a choice of currency pairs and standardized listings for commodities and money markets, all traded in Bitcoin. Are you ready to really trade Bitcoin? Globitex is issuing the GBX utility token for settling trades on the exchange and for promoting future success. First come, first served. Are you a Bitcoin trader yet? Get in and participate in the creation of a global spot and derivatives Bitcoin exchange.
Now, that was that. These are my contact details. If you need to contact me, ask more questions, write to me, visit our website, just have a look around. We are definitely one of the kind Bitcoin exchanges, and the press release hasn't come out yet, so this is not out officially. This is probably the first announcement about our EMI license. Thank you.
Thank you, Liza, for your inspiring speech.